Hi friends. So I finished Divine Rivals last night and I must say I loved it. I really liked it a lot. It was really cute. I really loved the relationship between Roman and Iris, and I loved the love letters. It's been sitting on my TBR for the longest and I finally got to it. I don't know why I do this, but I literally have a list of books that I know are incredible and I just don't read them. Like I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I don't know if I get like overwhelmed because I have so many options, but like Divine Rivals was one of those books that's been sitting on my list forever that everybody's raved about, everybody says is good, but I just was putting it off for some reason. But I finished it. It was really good. I decided to rate it 4.25 out of 5 stars for 2 reasons. Reason number 1, I felt like the romance was a little rushed. Like I just felt like one day Roman and Iris couldn't stand each other and then the next day they were in love. And like, I know that I'm reading a fantasy romance, so it's like, do I really, like, if I'm expecting any kind of realistic anything, like, you know, I'm kind of in the wrong place. But I don't know, like I personally prefer a slower build, especially when the plot or the trope is enemies to lovers. Like enemies to lovers is my jam. So like I am so particular about it. But I'm not saying that to say that like the romance wasn't good, because it was. Like I said, like I loved the connection between Roman and Iris. I just wish like we would have gotten a little bit more like back and forth. I wish that we would have gotten a little bit more time really watching the characters fall in love with one another, because you know they were pen pals, so like they were writing letters back and forth, but it just kind of seemed like he wrote a letter, she wrote a letter, next thing you know they can't live without each other. Like that's just kind of how it played out in my mind. I don't know if I'm tripping. That's just the thing that I noticed, and I was kind of like, wish that was a little different, but we'll let it slide. And then number 2, the only other thing that I can say about this book, because I want to reiterate, I really liked it and you guys should read it if you haven't read it. And I'm super excited to read the next book because I just feel like it's gonna be even better. The only other thing is that I felt like the plot was kind of predictable. And the reason that I say that is because the way that Rebecca Ross wrote the book, like she would foreshadow, but I felt like the foreshadowing was a little obvious. So like she would mention, you know, oh, it would be a shame if this happened, and then it happened. So like there were no twists and turns, there were no plot twists that like made me like, oh my God, you know, like I can't believe this. Like I just kind of saw everything that happened coming before it came. But not saying that that makes the book not good. Like it was still enjoyable. It was a beautiful story. Like I said, I recommend that you read it if you have it. If you want like a really good fantasy romance, that's a good one for you. But I say all that to say, after I finished the book, I kid you not, I was up for an hour after that, like just trying to find another fantasy romance, because it really got me in the mood for it. Like I haven't been into romance for like so long, but something about when there's a little bit of fantasy involved, like it's opened a whole new world for me. So like I find that romance heavy fantasy, I enjoy more than like romance alone as a genre, if that makes sense. So this week we're gonna be reading specifically fantasy romances. I have a long list of books that I need to get through. Like I have so many options when it comes to this. Like I literally don't even know where to start. Like I said, I was up for an hour last night trying to figure out what my next read was gonna be, because I have so many fantasy romances on my list, and I'm just like, I want like something that's so good. Like don't get me wrong, Divine Rivals was good, but I think everybody like was raving so much about it that it was kind of overhyped just a little bit in my opinion, because I just expected it to be unlike anything I've ever read before. And I miss that feeling. Like I want that feeling. Like I miss reading a fantasy romance specifically where like the romance is so good and the fantasy is so intriguing that it's just like, you know? Yeah, so we're on a hunt for that this week. I've already started my next book. Let me go ahead and pull that out for you guys. I'm reading it on my Kindle. So the book that I'm currently reading is Within These Wicked Walls by Lauren Blackwood. This one is it's definitely fantasy romance. It's romance heavy. but it almost has like a paranormal kind of vibe. Like the main character is basically, she's an individual that like casts out like evil spirits, and there's like an evil spirit that's cursing this house and the owner of the house. And so she's basically been hired to remove these evil spirits, but in the meantime, she goes ahead and finds herself a little love interest. And it's good so far. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like I think I'm maybe 40% of the way through it. There's definitely been a lot of romance introduced already, which I kind of am struggling with, because it's kind of that same thing where like I prefer a slow burn, and I feel like the romance in this book is kind of fast paced. Like I wish it would slow down a little bit. Like I wish they had more time to really like spend with one another and build that connection, but it just kind of seems like they're connecting off rip, and that's not realistic in my opinion. It's just not, okay? It's just not. But that's neither here nor there. The book so far is good. Like I'm enjoying it. I will let you guys know how I feel about it when I'm finished. But in my opinion, like it doesn't ring like a true fantasy. So I don't know if I'm really gonna be including that in today's video, but I'm just gonna update you guys since I'm already reading it. But the book that I really wanna read next, and this is, I feel like, is gonna be the first like official fantasy romance for the week. Okay, so the fantasy romance that I'm actually really excited to read next is Daughter of No Worlds. I've heard that's incredible, and that's it. That's all I need to hear, basically. Like that's it. And I really am interested in reading, I think it's The Something Prince by Holly Black. Oh, The Cruel Prince. I'm interested in reading The Cruel Prince, but there's like a lot of mixed reviews on it. Like some people are saying they love it, and then some people are giving it like 2 stars, 1 star. And that kind of like scares me a little bit, because I want something that's like gonna change my life. You know, I'm just waiting for a book that's gonna change my life. So I'm gonna proceed with my quest. But if you guys have any recommendations, please link them below. Like I am like craving something phenomenal. So if there's a book that you've read, and it doesn't have to be a fantasy romance, it could be a romance, it could just be a fantasy, it could be a sci-fi, it could be a horror. If there's any book that you felt like has knocked the wind out of your chest and like you can't stop thinking about it, and it's just like completely changed your whole life, please link it down below. Like please, you know, leave a comment and let me know about it, because I would love to read it. So yeah, without further ado, I'm gonna just keep on pushing through this book, and I'll let you know if there are any updates to how I'm feeling about it. Howdy, partners. So it's been a few days since I've spoken to you guys. I don't know what that was. It's been like 4 days since I last spoke to you guys. I have finished Within These Walls, and I think the last time I spoke to you, I was saying that I wasn't really sure how I felt about it. Like it was supposed to be a fantasy, but it was more paranormal vibes, and it was like romance, but I felt like the romance was rushed. I stand behind that. I still do believe that the romance was rushed, but the ending of the book got me. Like the ending of the book, honestly, it made it better. Like it made up for the fact that I was kind of bored and things were kind of rushed. Like I sometimes like don't like when plots aren't, I don't know how to explain like how I felt about it. It's just, I think the biggest thing was that I didn't feel anything. Like I was reading it and I was just like, I'd be happy if this was over now. You know, like it wasn't bad. Like I initially was gonna rate it 3 stars, but I decided to rate it 4. But now that I'm thinking about the 4-star rating, I'm wondering if I would even give it that, and maybe if I want to give it 3.5 or 3.75 stars. I don't know. That's for me to figure out a different day. But I will say it was a good book if you are looking for something that's like heavy romance, kind of adventure with a little paranormal vibe. It's definitely an interesting book. I love that all of the characters, I think the majority of the characters were African American, and I haven't really read a lot of books, let alone romance or even like a fantasy kind of vibe with a lot of African American characters. I don't think I've really read any books like that. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it. I don't know, just a little bit of representation. So if you're interested in reading it, I definitely think it's a good read. It made me tear up towards the end. And y'all know how I feel about books that make me tear up. So it's definitely a good read overall, but I'm ready to move on to the next, and I have already done so. And I started reading, what's it called? I can never remember the name of this book. Hold on one second. Daughter of No Worlds. So this was a book that Sarah Caroli recommended. She said that it was a very good fantasy. I think it's a fantasy romance. I'm pretty sure, I haven't gotten to the romance yet, but I'm pretty sure it's a family romance. Family romance? What is going on with me today? I cannot talk. I'm pretty sure it's a fantasy romance. I haven't gotten to the romance yet, but it seems like it might be a close proximity, enemies to lovers kind of vibe. I love that. Let me tell you something right now. I love close proximity. I love it. I love close proximity. Yeah, you better be forced to share a house with me, and you know, something about that I just enjoy. So yeah, that's kind of so far, like as I'm reading it, the vibe that it seems to be on. But the thing that I love even most about it is like, it seems heavy fantasy as well. Like not heavy fantasy, but like I could tell that there's a very strong fantasy plot, which and I've told you guys, like I just never really thought that I would enjoy fantasy as much as I do, but I do. Like I want to hear about the war. I want to see the battles. I want the action. Never thought I'd say it, but I also really love the romance. And I think like that combination, I just feel like it makes it so intense and it just makes it so rich to me, and I adore it. So yeah, so far so good. I just started this yesterday and I was plowing through this thing. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm 23% of the way in. And this book is, I think like 500 and something pages. Okay, it's 520 pages. I'm 23% of the way in. I'm technically on page 113. So far so good. I'm loving it. I'm having a good time. I am. That's it. I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update. Okay, so hi. I'm literally at work right now reading because I'm dedicated to this goal this week. We're reading romantasy all week. Of course, I can't stop reading. Anyway, I have finally reached part 2 of this book. This book is long, by the way. There are 80 chapters plus an epilogue. Long, but it's fine. I like long books. I will definitely say so far, I'm loving the fantasy. So far, I'm literally at part 2 of the book. The whole first half has been like world building and kind of getting an idea of the history of the land and, you know, this war that's about to take place. So it's very much focused on that, not so much focused on any kind of romance. So it's not that like the book wasn't good, but like I was going into this because I was promised a passionate romance. So I'm like, where's the passion? Where is it, you know? But I'm literally on page 2 of part 2 of the book, and we're in it from Max's perspective, and I can already tell it's about to give what I want it to give. I'm on the second page. I can already tell that I'm gonna like it. So I'm really excited for this romance right now. I just had to like take a break so I could update you guys. But yeah, so like the first half, like the first part is all in Tasana's perspective. And so the thing that I love about her is she is literally so goal oriented. Like this girl is disciplined. This girl is determined. She has a one-track mind. She is focused, and I respect that. So literally the whole first half of the book has her just been like on her grind, like nonstop, like literally like till her hands are bleeding, till she's passing out to just reach this goal. And I'm just like, wow, I wish I was like that. Like I can learn something from her. And so I don't know, I kind of like that she didn't really have like a whole lot of romantic feelings clouding her judgment, or like I'm really kind of happy so far with the way that this book has been written, because I feel like it's just so much sweeter when the guy is obsessed with the girl. So like so far in Max's perspective, like as we literally got no romance, no connection from, what's her name? Tasara? Tasara? Pretty sure it's pronounced Tasara. We got like barely any of that towards like the very end. And so now we're opening it up with Max, and it's just like, it's giving romance. It's giving romance. So I'll let you guys know. I'll keep you guys posted. Alright y'all, so I wanted to come and update you. I have officially finished Daughter of No Worlds. And you know, in the last clip when I was telling you guys about how I just knew like from this point of the book forward, it was just gonna be so romantic. Well, it wasn't. It was not very romantic from that point forward. I have a couple issues with the book. I would say number one, there were a couple plot holes. You know, sometimes like when you're reading something and then you kind of zone out and then you come back and like you kind of lost where you're at and you don't really know what's going on. I don't know if it's one of those situations and maybe I misread. But essentially in one chapter of the book, one of the like supporting characters dies, and I like recall specifically them saying like, oh yeah, this person is dead. And I was like, dang, that's crazy. And then in the very next chapter, that character is still alive. Like they're referring to that character, saying that that character is okay, they're just recovering. Like, I don't know if like that was maybe like a mistake that wasn't caught, or if maybe I read it wrong, but that kind of, I don't know, like a mistake like that in a book, like I don't really like, because it's like if you're gonna say a character is dead, you can't resurrect that character without like building a scene where that character is resurrected and expect me not to notice and to just be like cool with it. So that's number one. Number two, when it comes down to the romance. So honestly, the biggest reason this week why I'm reading fantasy is because I really want like a really good romantic fantasy. Like I want basically a romance, but in a fantasy world. And with this book, I would definitely say that it's more focused on the fantasy and the politics and the world building. And yeah, like it's more focused on that than it is any kind of romantic plot. Like for example, the main character goes to live with the main love interest for 5 months. And so I'm thinking like, oh shoot, we're gonna watch these characters, you know, fall in love with one another. There's gonna be scenes where they're, you know, there may be a touch here or a touch there, or, you know, but there was none of that. We literally, like the author fast forwarded the whole 5 months. And then we're like 5 months later and she's just describing how they've built this relationship, or she's describing things that have happen but not allowing us to actually see those things fold out or take place on our own. So I didn't really like that. Like I would have liked if she would have actually taken the time to build those characters' relationship instead of saying, oh yeah, they have a strong relationship now. Like it just kind of seemed like the romance came out of nowhere because we really didn't see a whole lot of them getting to know one another. Like they were, but I just feel like more could have been done that could have made the romance more rich. Again, I don't know if this book was even supposed to be classified as like a romantic fantasy, so I can't really knock that against the book because the book itself was good. It was just I wanted something more romantic, and so it didn't really meet those expectations. But that said, overall I decided to rate it a 3.5 out of 5 stars because like I said, it was good, but it's not the greatest book I've ever read. Like even the fantasy I felt was like the plot itself and you know what the characters were fighting for, it just all was kind of vague and it wasn't thoroughly laid out. I don't know if that's something that's going to become clear in the next book, but yeah, I don't know. The week is not over, so I do want to get one more book in, but I don't know what I want to read. Like I've literally been scouring for a really good romantic fantasy, and it just seems like there aren't a whole lot of options. Like I know there are a ton of options, but like there aren't really a whole lot of options. A part of me is wondering if I should retry A Court of Mist and Fury, because everybody says book 2 is like incredible, and like I got through a significant portion of it, but like I got bored because like kind of similar to what it was like in this previous book I've read. Like, it was a lot of world building and a lot of politics and just a lot of explaining and providing history, and I just got kind of bored. But I know that there is supposed to be another love interest. It's kind of been spoiled a little bit to me. I don't really know, like I've tried to stay away from any kind of news surrounding the series, but I think I kind of have an idea of the direction where it's going, and so I'm kind of interested in seeing that, but I don't know if it's going to be worth it in the grand scheme of things. So that's an option. There's also another book by Carissa Broadbent, which is the author of Daughter of No Worlds. That book is called, let me see, that one is The Serpent and the Wings of Night, and I think that one is about vampires. I don't know how I feel about vampires. Like ever since Twilight, vampires are just kind of corny to me, so like I don't know if I would enjoy that, but I heard it's good. So that's an option. And then I was also considering reading The 7-Year Slip. I know that that's technically a romance, but like I said, I want to read romance. And because of like the time travel kind of aspect of the story, it's technically considered fantasy. So it's like, do I want to just do that where I know that I'm gonna get the romance that I desire? And everybody says that the romance is so good. Like everybody says that book is so good. So I'm wondering, should I just do that and count that as my final fantasy read? Or should I continue on with the series? I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna make up my mind and then I'm gonna come back and update you guys on what I decide. All right, y'all, so I've made my decision. So I'm deciding I'm not gonna go with The Court of Mist and Fury because like I said, we're supposed to be reading fantasy for a week and this book is 600 plus pages. Like there's no way I'm getting, today's Friday. There's no way I'm gonna get this done by Sunday. Like there's no way. So we're gonna sit this one out. I may do a dedicated video to just reading the remainder of this series. So if you guys are interested in that, go ahead and leave a comment down below. Okay. And then also, like I said, I was really considering 7-Year Slip, but I know that that would be cheating. Like it would be straight up cheating. So I'm just not gonna do it. And so finally I decided to take one more look at the reviews for The Serpent and the Wings of Night. And although I think vampires are corny, I think I'm gonna go ahead and give it a shot because everybody is saying the book is good. So I'm gonna take their word for it. Hi friends, so it is Monday and I am still reading The Serpent and the Wings of Night. So it was definitely very ambitious of me to think that I could read 500 pages in 2 days. I couldn't. I mean, like I could, but like I had work and I had other things that I was working on, so I just didn't have the time to read the 500 pages, but I am really enjoying the book. And so I wanted to update you guys a bit on the video overall because I think that I want to extend this whole topic. Like I've really been enjoying reading fantasy, but if y'all remember, the whole purpose of me doing this video is because I wanted to read fantasy romance specifically. And I think the books that I've chosen so far have not been very romantic. They've been very fantasy focused. So I think I want to continue my journey of finding a very good romantasy book. So I'm gonna end the vlog here, but I'm gonna pick up again next week. Now I do want to give you guys a little bit of an update before I end this video, and those are my thoughts on The Serpent and the Wings of Night. Now I'm honestly really enjoying this book. I think I like it a lot better than Daughter of No Worlds. It just seems like the plot is more thought out. I love the characters, but I will say this is definitely providing a little more of a romantic buildup than I think Daughter of No Worlds did. So it really just kind of seemed like the romance came out of nowhere in the last book, but with this one, I can tell that it's a bit of a slow burn. So I'm just now getting to the point where they're starting to acknowledge their feelings for one another. And I think that is the perfect place to leave you guys on a bit of a cliffhanger. I'm sorry, but I love you so much. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you all in the next video. Bye.